Let's talk about filler guy. I mean pumpkin guy. I mean Brooklyn guy. Ugh, darn it. Now, back in the prime days of SML about 10 years ago now, and even before that, this man was amazing, and I want to talk about why he is such a good character and the reason for his massive downfall. Brooklyn Guy was a fantastic character because he was someone we could all relate to at times. He hated his life and he was just real with everyone around him and was the only guy most of the time with any little bit of common sense. And if you are a new gen SML fan and never witnessed the peakness of Brooklyn Guy before, you would probably hear that description and think, wow, that's boring. But he wasn't. That is far from the truth. Brooklyn Guy was amazing. He was so funny with his sarcastic comments on the idiots around him like his wife and Junior, and his character was such a good contrast compared to most SML characters being stupid. And when he did have silly moments, it wasn't over-exaggerated cartoon-like stupidness as we get from most of the SML characters. He was funny in his own way, like making fun of his fat ex-wife, or sometimes just being a bit clueless. Not to mention episodes like The Secret Door and the Military series. I mean, if you know, you know. Fucking watch those now, and you will witness greatness. I mean, technically, you know what? I'm not going to spoil anything. Just go and watch it. Everyone loved this classic relatable character so much that they wanted to see more and more of him, and Logan realized that. This, my friends, is when the downfall of Brooklyn Guy starts. And it started with what I think was Brooklyn Guy's first ever main video called The Day in the Life of Brooklyn Guy. Now, mind you, I'm pretty sure this wasn't a bad video. In fact, I think it was a really good video as we got to see a closer look on how shitty Brooklyn Guy's life is. But this was the start of the downfall because it gave Logan a pathway to give Brooklyn Guy more and more and more of his own fucking episodes. Yay! Brooklyn Guy, the depressed loser, started to get more happy, quirky, and further from the mature man he used to be. All of the relatability of him being the closest SML character to a real human with real human personality all went out the window. And you know what? I respected that because I guess with more screen time and, you know, time spent around Marvin, who is obviously a more important character, you're not going to change Marvin's personality and make him silly too. So they sacrifice Brooklyn Guy's character instead and, you know, to still keep that contrast by making Brooklyn Guy the silly one and Marvin the more mature one, when in reality it used to be the other way around. If you look at Logan's channel, he kind of relies on that contrast in his videos, like Chef Pee and Junior being different. You know, Bowser wanting Chef Pee to work and Chef Pee not wanting to work, right? Like stuff like that. So that's why back in the day in peak SML, you never really saw Brooklyn Guy and Marvin together that much because they were pretty similar. They were both mature and they both had their heads screwed on. So the only reason why I think Marvin and Brooklyn Guy are so close now is because, you know, Brooklyn Guy's character is just so much sillier now. So they work better together in Logan's eyes. And, you know, in my eyes as well, I think. But when we're talking about Brooklyn Guy as his own individual character, he's pretty much being destroyed. The animations. Now we have hit fucking rock bottom. At first I thought they were cool. Something new in SML, something different. But then there was more and more and more dumb stories about Brooklyn Guy's life that never ever has anything to do with the plot. And I'm a guy that loves to hear about characters' lore. Like if I'm like invested in a franchise like Red Dead Redemption or something like that, I like to do my research on all the characters, hear all their life stories. But like we obviously know that Logan is not telling these backstories because he cares about the lore of Brooklyn Guy. He cares about the filler of the episode. Now I get it. A YouTuber has to make his money and get that back. That's cool. I respect that. I have no problem with that. But there's other ways to do that without not only destroying one of the best SML characters ever, but just so much filler that it's just not entertaining at all. Like at least use filler that has something to do with the plot of the video. Like it came to a point where most of these useless animations were in every video, but luckily we don't see them as much anymore. Listen, I have no problem with filler, but just make it creative like you used to, Logan. You know, sometimes the filler rarely is good now in modern SML, but it's nowhere near as it used to be. And get this, I don't even mind the animations too much. I just don't want to see them in every episode because it ruins Brooklyn Guy. Hey, it's Brooklyn Guy again. Oh no, this means we're gonna get another shitty animation, aren't we? Fuck. You see what I mean? It ruins the joy of seeing him on screen. Brooklyn Guy will always have a massive place in my heart, and with all of this said, he still has some funny moments here and there, but unfortunately, he's not funny for the same things as he used to be 10 years ago. Brooklyn Guy is ranked the 6th best SML character of all time on my tier list. but that doesn't mean modern-day Pumpkin Guy is the best character anymore. Maybe if Logan didn't give him as much screen time and he became more of a side character again, people would actually be excited when he appears on screen like we all used to be. Thank you for watching. Peace.